This is Kathy from Gadget Stop 321, and in today's video I'm going to be taking a look at Robert Oster Silver Fire and Ice. I'm testing this ink in a variety of pens and nib sizes ranging from a Pilot Extra Fine to a 1.5 stub nib. Now, I believe this is the first shimmer ink I've ever tried, and I've really been impressed by how fun this ink is to write with. Alright, this is a Pilot 78G Plus with an extra fine nib. I wouldn't call this scratchy, but it is, I don't know, and it's getting very dry, surprisingly. I've already tested this on several other papers. Surprisingly, this Tomoe River paper, I believe, has been the worst performer so far. That's kind of surprising. Alright, next is the Pilot Prera with a fine nib. This is much better so far. Still a little feedbacky for how this nib usually performs, but it's much wetter and, you know, very pleasant to write with. Very usable. We'll take a look when these dry at how much of the shimmer is visible. Alright, I've got a 78G medium nib. Very smooth. And you can see this is one of those inks that tends to stick to the nib. Alright, decently wet, and that was pretty smooth. Oh, excuse me, my allergies. Alright, next is the Pilot Prera with the cursive medium nib. This one's very smooth also. Sometimes this nib can be hit and miss with how smooth it is. Just depends on the ink and the paper. Okay, you can see that's a little bit drier than the medium. This cursive medium tends to be somewhat of a dry writer. Next I have the Nemesign Singularity with the 0.6 stub. This is very wet. All right, that will probably be nice when it dries. And finally, I've got a Jinhao X750 with a 1.5 stub. Ooh, that should be interesting too. Give that a second to dry, and we'll take a look at some other papers that I've already tested. I've got my little ARC notebook that I like to do ink samples in. This is pretty absorbent paper, and you can see how the color of the ink changes depending on how much ink your pen puts down. These two wetter stubs are quite a bit darker than especially the Pilot Prayer that puts down less ink. The ink looks brighter. And surprisingly, the 78G was pretty smooth on this paper. The Prera was okay. It wasn't significantly smoother than the extra fine. The medium and the cursive medium were both smooth. The Nemesign was smooth. I usually only make a note when it's not. And let's see. You notice this ink with the finer nibs soaked into the paper pretty quickly, and it looks like really the only one that bled through is the widest, the 1.5 stub. So it soaked into the paper quickly, but it didn't soak all the way through. And let's see, look at that shimmer. And I can see it. I can see it even on the extra fine. This ink has a lot of shimmer in it. And yeah, and all of the nibs. Now the Prera, since it put down a little less ink, well, the Prera, I'm not seeing very much shimmer in it, just little bits, but on all the others, it looks pretty good. All right, on Rhodia paper, the extra fine, I said it wasn't scratchy, but it wasn't smooth. And even on the fine and the medium, it wasn't scratchy. It just wasn't as smooth as most inks are. It wasn't until I got to the Prera that, yeah, it actually felt kind of smooth. And I'm seeing, even on the Prera, I'm seeing the shimmer. Very nice. My favorite nib so far is the Nemesign. Really like that. Okay, and on this really absorbent 20-pound copy paper, I'm seeing the shimmer on it as well. Now, I did have some trouble with some skipping, like on the medium. And really, look at these. As I wrote, it just soaked into the paper so quickly. I have a feeling the paper was just soaking up the ink so quickly. In some places, the feed just had trouble keeping up. Now, the shimmer is not as visible, but I don't know if y'all can see it even on the extra fine. You can see it on this absorbent paper. This ink has a lot of shimmer in it. And as I was writing, I could see the shimmer in the ink. The ink looked kind of pearlescent as it was going down on the paper. All right. In my Leuchtturm, I'm starting to see, actually in this 1.5 stub, yeah, the shimmer is in there, but it's not as bright. I'm starting to see the sheen though. There's a halo of sheen, but the shimmer is more subtle, which was kind of surprising. All right. And on the Tomoe River paper, again, kind of surprising on the stub nib, the shimmer, maybe that just has to do, I'm not seeing the shimmer as much in the 1.5 stub. Maybe as I was writing, the shimmer came out in the beginning of the writing sample, and I don't know. Maybe it all depends on how the shimmer is settling within the pen, but I'm still seeing it really well. Let's see. In the Nemesign, I'm still seeing it. Pilot Prera, I'm seeing it a little bit. The medium, it looks really good. And even in the extra fine, with how fine and wispy and dry that writing was. I'm seeing just the tiniest bit of shimmer, but it shows up pretty good in the fine nib. This is just a fun ink. It's got so much going on. The sheen, the shimmer, it's nice and saturated, so it's pleasant to write with. All right, that is a fun ink. The only concern was, see, I do these writing samples by dipping the pen, and you can see this was a mess because after each pen, when I dipped it, I had to put the lid on, shake it back up because the shimmer, it just takes seconds for the shimmer to start settling out. So it's one of those high maintenance, even the writing with it. You have to rotate your pen if your pen has been sitting around. Rotate your pen and get the shimmer suspended in the ink before you start writing. But it's kind of worth it. It's a fun ink. If you found this video helpful, please give me a thumbs up, and if you'd like to see more videos like this, please subscribe to my channel.